What's up, y'all? So we have another. Well, let me introduce myself, I guess. My name's Amari from Miami. This is I like to call it the Secure Your Future conversation. We have a organization or a community called Secure Your Future, and we like to interview. Not even interview. Let me not even say that. We like to have conversations and look at the backstory of the individuals, the companies, the corporations, the business owners, the entrepreneurs, the creatives, the creators, of where they've gotten to this far. We like to look at where they've been, where they are, and where they're gonna go based off of the things that they're doing. So we have a special guest today, a good friend of mine. Now we met, literally less than 30 days ago, but when the energy and the synergy is right, then everything aligns. And I think alignment is everything. Alignment supersedes mechanisms. When you can't explain how things happen. So I'd like to introduce my guy Eric with his brand, L Cubed.
Amari, thanks for the introduction. Yeah, L Cube Lifestyle. I think we met at an event in Miami where we have Pier 5, maybe?
Pier 5.
Pier 5.
Through another organization, for sure.
People have not been there. It was a fantastic view.
Go to networking events, for sure.
And like Amari said, I think energy is key and being around people with positive vibes. So that was our connection. We got together for the Miami Swim Week, and we were a vendor at your show. So I'm hoping to have the opportunity to talk about our emerging brand.
No, 100%. So, let me just say this. Number one, I can't even take credit. It wasn't really my show. I was just, I was a part of the show. It wasn't just me. So shout out to the Fusion Fashion guys. Tony, Kev, those guys out there crushing it. They wanted me to come in for the networking part. Where we did some live interviews. People can come early. We interviewed some of the designers. We interviewed some business professionals that even weren't a part of the Swim Week show. So we kind of collabed in during Art Basel, and they wanted to add that element. So we came in and based off of our relationship, how we met. I think it was a good time to see if you wanted to be a part of it. So, but it was a great event. Great events. Got some great interviews, and the best is yet to come. But look, so this is how we start. I start by asking all the guests this. If you can do anything, or if you could tell yourself anything from 10 years ago, from this moment, based off what you know today, all the knowledge that you've accumulated, what would that look like? What would that be?
I think the biggest thing for me at this part of my journey is I think I would just reinforce and highlight how important it is to be resilient and show up. I think a lot of people quit with great ideas. I think a lot of people take a break when they've got great energy. And I think successful people are resilient and don't quit. And if need be, know how to pivot. I think I would tell myself that.
Do you have like a definition of like what that success looks like, when you stay in it for a long time?
Yeah, I think it's being one person in a room of 100 where there's 99 people saying, no, you can't do that. And you have that inner belief, that inner spark, and surround yourself with people that think you can. Resilient is being gritty and doing things when people are telling you can't, or when you yourself have stopped believing. You have to push through that wall and be resilient. And I think that successful people find that gear, whether it's in sports, business, life, relationships. I think being resilient and pushing through is the name of the game.
What are some of the turning points, I guess, in your journey to where you are now that have gotten you to this point, or that you would have said, man, because I did this, because I did that, because I gotten through this trial, tribulation, or this peak or valley? What are some of those moments that you say, man, I'm happy I did that, because that's the reason why I've stuck around for so long?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, and it's actually one of our pillars on our shirt as far as laugh, learn, and longevity. So I think having longevity as a person, or a person in the business world, or as an athlete, I come from having played college tennis, professional tennis, and was a professional tennis coach. You lose every week in tennis, but you have to find that resilience to keep persevering. And I think for me, I didn't do well when I was supposed to win the tournament, but if you told me I wasn't going to win the tournament, that's when the fireworks came. And I think the same comes when you are an entrepreneur there are major brands, major companies, sometimes jealous coworkers, sometimes jealous industry people that tell you that you can't. And I think that's when I thrive, when people tell me I can't succeed.
So
I use that as fuel.
no, that's dope. Listen, me too.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, 100%. You know, I was always the kid growing up where it was like, I bet you can't, and I was like, I bet I would. And sometimes those things weren't good or bad.
Sure.
You know, growing up as a kid, you know, we all are mischievous in our own ways. But then, you know, as you get older, it's always putting that chip on your shoulder. And I always tell people this story. My mom had me at 14 years old. You know, my dad was 16, and you know, that story alone is just the underdog mentality. You know, her success speaks for itself, and you know, me trying to figure it out, you know, is the underdog. You know, because
I've never really heard somebody put a name or a moniker on it, but that is what gets the best out of me, as being the underdog. I've succeeded when I've been seated one, or when people put pressure on. You learn how to address that, but I think I do my best. And what you're alluding to is when you're the underdog and you tell me I can't, you need to stay out of the way.
Bro, it's crazy. So I look at my life, and it's like every point of my life, you know, I've been a part of like an underdog story in sports, because I played sports too. You know, you played tennis, right?
You played basketball.
And I played basketball. I played all sports, but basketball was my thing.
Sure.
Right? It's what I went to college for. And man, every time I went to a team, right? High school, went to the school that I graduated from. They were not good when we went. By the time we left, we had the best record in school history. Now, I mean, every year they're competing for state championships. When I went to college, the colleges that I would go to weren't the best. But by the time we left, you know, we were winning state championships. Conference championships.
Yeah.
You know, being ranked top 10 in the country. You know, the people who I decide to partner with and, you know, align with, they aren't like, you know, I'm like a builder of things. I like to build things. You know, it's like sorry, Kevin Durant, but like the Kevin Durant story when he went from his team, when he got beat by the team that, you know, he went to the Warriors. It's like, I would never do that, because I believe in building from the ground up and eventually overcoming. Is that like something that
I
can relate to?
I can relate to it. I think going way back to the beginning, I played a lot of team sports. I played baseball. I played soccer, basketball, and I'm from a small community in the Daytona Beach area. And I was, if not the best, one of the better players on the worst team in the league when I played team sports. Nobody knew my parents. I wasn't popular, so nobody knew to pick me. So part of my journey was figuring that out. And for me was to pivot into an individual sport like tennis, where I had full control of my destiny. If I didn't want to be ranked 313 in the state of Florida, then I could hit against the wall. I could do practice matches. I could get in better shape and get into the top 10 in the state of Florida by the time I was in the 18. So I think that entrepreneur spark in me started at a very young age, when I chose to gravitate toward an individual sport over a team sport, just because if you're not going to pick me and you're not going to notice me, then I'm going to make my own path. So I've kind of had that independence from a very early age.
And then now you're talking about, you know, making your own path. How has making your own path gotten to where you are today?
Yeah, so I'm lucky enough to be in business with two spectacular.
Yes, talk about it. How did it start?
Yes.
What is this thing that you got going on?
So what sparks my interest and is the love of my work life right now is L-Cube Lifestyle. It stands for Laugh, Learn, and Longevity. It's on the bicep of my shirt. It's on the wrist of your shirt on the long sleeve. I've got two brilliant teammates and co-founders and investors. I am the Laugh. One of my business partners is the Longevity, and the other business partner is the Learn. So the L-Cube Lifestyle gets explained through the three words that are on the wrist of the long sleeve or on the bicep of the short sleeve. We wanted to have a lifestyle brand that's different. It's a very competitive market with all kinds of Lululemon, Vuori, Nike. Athleisure wear is blowing up. So we're starting in the t-shirt sector because I had worked in this sector before with another company. We believe in bringing in new products that are different And the way we separate ourselves from the pack in the competitive market of athletic performance shirts is by offering UV30, UV50, and we do that through a fantastic fabric called polyamide.
Yeah, so when you're explaining these things, you gotta. I have to get the grade version of it because
Okay.
I'm a novice in it. So because I want to know,
Yeah.
people are listening, but I want to listen. I want to get educated. So what does all that mean? What does UV3 mean? What
Okay.
is is it polyamide?
Polyamide.
Polyamide. What does that mean? Like, and what are the difference between a shirt? Because this shirt feels really good. And
Well, I think it probably feels like liquid silk, right?
Yeah, it does. And when I washed it, the other one that I have, it's washable.
Doesn't shrink.
Yeah, a lot of shirts sometimes, aren't, they shrink. So you gotta get them a size, bigger, or they lose color grade.
Yeah.
Like these jeans I have on. I'm actually, crazy story. I probably took 5 to 7 flights in the last 10 days.
Yeah, you've had a time of it.
Delayed flights, visiting family, visiting friends, thunderstorms in Miami. And I've had these same jeans. These are the only pair of jeans that I've really had for the last 5 days. And so I've been washing them every day. And as you can tell, the color grade of them are no longer all black, because they were all black when I got them. And the good thing about your shirt you have on now, or that I have on now that you have on, when I washed it, the color stays the same.
So that's great feedback. And again, the athleisure wear is a hugely competitive market. So the shirt you're wearing and the shirt that I'm wearing are both UV 50. So if you think of like SPF that you spray on your skin to stay out of the sun, you can also build that into shirts. You can do it with the fabric, or you can do it post-production where they spray the UPF on it. So we offer both UV 30, which is a slightly thinner cut of the polyamide, and UV 50. The UV 50 obviously is going to keep out more sun than the UV 30. But sometimes if you're in running, you want a lighter feel. If you're teaching tennis 9 hours a day, you want to stay out of the sun. You don't have to reapply. So the magic of our shirts that feel like liquid silk is they are lightweight and offer UPF protection. Typically, when you get in UV clothing, it wears like a tablecloth. I tell the story, if you've ever been pushed in a pool and you're wearing all cotton, how heavy it feels. Some people might have nicer friends that didn't push them into the pool, but wet cotton feels heavy. It's not breathable. So we're trying to keep the athlete in mind, the coach in mind, and offer the UV protection, but keeping the fabric super lightweight.
Wow, that makes sense. I've definitely been pushing the pool a few times before.
So, and it's heavy,
and it's
right?
heavy.
Your
100%.
jeans, cotton shirt is heavy. So the magic of this 100% polyamide that's typically used for firefighter jackets and apparel is that you can have a super durable, non-abrasive fabric, really strong. But if you shave it thin, you get the UV protection and you get it to be breathable. You get it to hold the color. So
when you say breathable, what is that? What
yeah,
explain?
moisture wicking. If you take a quick car ride to Starbucks between your sports or athletics, it's going to dry. Where cotton, it absorbs the water, but it doesn't dismiss it and get rid of it. The polyamide, we soak it up out of the air and off your skin, and then it gets rid of it and it dries quickly.
And now, would you classify this as a dry fit type of shirt?
Yeah, dry fit. So it does have the UPF protection in it, but it's not just an outdoor sun shirt. You get all the awesome benefits of the shirt being moisture wicking, quick drying, abrasion resistant when you wear it at the gym or something indoor. We like to think of it as a shirt that you can play life in, whether you're indoor or outdoor. So if you're indoor, you get the moisture wicking, lightweight. You can go to the gym, yoga. You come take your tennis lesson with me, or you go paddleboarding, and you get the wonderful benefits of the UV clothing.
So now, because I now know, or I knew before that you're an athlete, so I would consider this an athletic shirt. But based off of how you just explained it to me, it sounds like this could be more of like a lifestyle type of everyday kind of shirt.
Yes.
And not just like, what is your target market?
Yeah, so that is a great question. It's been by design to keep that as open as possible. So we want to build a lifestyle brand. We're not going to just sell t-shirts. We are going to expand to 1/4 zips to hoodies, maybe shorts, skirts for pickleball and tennis. So we want to be a lifestyle brand. And the way to be competitive in that market is to always bring in new fabrics, new designs, use bamboo, use polyamide, use some different concepts to try to stand out in a competitive market.
So now we know what the product is, and it seems like a great product. I mean, like I keep saying, I love the product. So far, I like it. I don't have any bad reviews. I got all good reviews. 5-star
We're also
reviews.
paying you to say that, but that's okay.
Right. And so I would say this. How do you market your brand? Like, how do you, so now you have a product that works, or that,
great question.
You know, that is, it's loose, it's fit. You know, if you're watching on YouTube, or if you're watching on, you know, camera,
the colors,
right,
as well.
You know, we have different colors as well. You know, what is the marketing behind it? Because it is competitive, because I'm sure there are hundreds of other, maybe not companies specifically with your story, but, you know, other apparel companies out there. How do you remain competitive in the marketing space? How do you market?
Yeah. And you asked that question before, and I didn't do a great job answering. So the marketing is toward pickleball, tennis, running events, half marathons, 10K, 5K, marathons, paddleboarding, landscaping teams, anything where you would benefit from 100% polyamide, the UV protection. So it could be outdoor, but it could be an indoor team. That is, if you are a bunch of fitness trainers at an organization, you get all the wonderful benefits of the moisture wicking, quick drying. So the marketing is wide open. Anybody that is indoor or outdoor that wants a unique feel and fabric, you get benefits from this shirt, both indoor and outdoor. It's literally the brand you want to play life in.
Right. And speaking of life, how has this business, or how has entrepreneurship impacted your life?
Amari, that is a $10 million question. I'm very grateful.
I'm down for that. Listen, I'm ready for the $10 million answer.
I have a $500 coaching tip for tennis, but my $10 million response to this question would be, to be an entrepreneur, you have to have thick skin. You have to look 10,000 no's in the face and say, I can still do it. I think the most intimidating part of being an entrepreneur and launching a company or a new brand is you are not relatable to most of your friends and your social network. So unless somebody else is launching a brand or launching a company or a concept, they hear you, they're listening, but it doesn't really sink in unless you are a fellow entrepreneur, because it's a tough thing to do, to launch a new concept and brand. And you just have to show up. You have to ignore the no's, and you have to push your thoughts to the forefront. And it's one of the toughest things I've ever done.
Yo, I can relate to that, man. I was in network marketing since I was 19.
What's the most relatable part?
The relatable part is the no's, and I think we also have to start changing. I think we should start changing, getting all of the no's, because I think then that's what we expect. I think we should start to say we have to try to get as many yeses as possible, while also you're going to get, there's still a numbers game, a 10% number game, 20% number game. But I think if we frame it and say, man, you know, instead of saying, you know, you got to get as many no's as possible, no, we want to get as many yeses as possible. But it may take you a certain amount of no's for you to get the skill set you need to get a higher amount of yeses. So like, for example, when I'm going into a conversation, I'm not expecting them to say no. I'm expecting them to say yes because of my skill set that I developed. And so I think in entrepreneurship, that is very important. And as you build the skill set, you not only get a higher close rate in terms of business, entrepreneurship, even if you're in corporate life, even if, you know, with your friends, even with the date, the girl, whatever, you know, but you get a higher quality of yes as well. So the goal is not only just to get all the yeses. No, I want a higher quality of yes as well. Not only comes with the skill set that we're building through the entrepreneurship, building relationships, seeing what fits, what doesn't fit, seeing what fits our story, what doesn't fit our story. And I think you're doing a good job of that so far.
Yeah, no, and I think I can relate. So I've been in corporate sales and I've been through corporate sales training. And I think what you are explaining is what they call the assumptive sale. So it should feel like a dialogue. And instead of saying, wow, we get hit on the head with a bunch of no's, you have to go into sales and you have to go into being an entrepreneur in an assumptive mindset.
Right.
And then it's more like a dialogue. And who's ever on the receiving end of your positivity, it's not assumptive in a manipulative way, but it's just in a positive energy output. And I think that what you did summarize there is what we call assumptive sales. You have to believe that that's going to happen at the end. So you're not trying to convince yourself from the start. You believe in it. And so then you kind of manifest that.
No, 100%. And it's like a value stack in a way. It's like, how can I present? We should take a short amount of time giving people a lot of the details so they can make a faster decision. So then they can decide whether they want to do it or not, and not like prolong the process.
When I think a lot of times in sales or when you're launching a company or being an entrepreneur, people are like, well, what's your pitch? I think most importantly, what sells is passion.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've been an athlete. I've been a coach. I'm relatable to other athletes and coaches. And I'm super passionate about what we're creating as a brand and what we're starting out with our shirts. I love seeing people's reaction to the fabric. I love getting the feedback on the website or from people in person where they're like, it feels like liquid silk. Like I've never had a shirt on like this. For people that have been in the industry for 25 plus years. I've recently played in a pickleball tournament with a gentleman who owns a t-shirt and a printing company. And he put it on in Atlanta and he smiled and literally said, I've never had a shirt on that feels cool and is this lightweight. So that's kind of the passion coming full circle. It becomes easier to sell. Passion is better than any pitch.
Yeah, and it's just really the story as well. You know, facts tell, but stories sell. And it's the story behind what it is that you're doing.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's the truth. You know, I can say that this episode is that great episode going to go for a certain amount of time. You're going to get some great. Well, what is the story behind the episode?
Absolutely.
I literally just started doing this, or we started doing this to provide more value to the community that we're building. How can we do that? Well, we hear their stories.
Yeah.
We see about the businesses that they're building. You know, we see what L Cubed is up to. We see how their shirt is going to intertwine into the fabric of our society, of our community. And those things matter. You know, the stories really matter. What is relatable? That's why people love Stephen Curry, you know, just talking about sports. It's because the relatability of him. He's not the tallest. He's not the strongest. He's not the fastest. But everybody can technically shoot a three. Whether if you're 6'12" or you're 5 foot. And the same thing with, you know, life. It's like, what is that relatability? But I want to go back some though. So I want to go back into this marketing part.
I can be a good listener.
No, you're good. I want to go back to this marketing portion because I think marketing is very important. Brand building is very important. I'm finding that out now. You know, what are some of the best ways that you've seen marketing wise that works for creating sales and awareness for your company?
Well, and I think in today's world, obviously you have to have a presence on social media. You have to have a website. We're an e-commerce store. We're selling direct to consumer, but we're also selling business to business. So we co-brand as well. What I feel with our shirts and the fabric we're starting out with, it's a very tactile experience. So for us, marketing, we want to be a vendor like we were at one of your recent events for Miami Swim Week.
How did you like that event, by the way? Not to cut you off, but how did you like that event?
I loved it. I thought, obviously,
What did you like best about it?
Well, I'll start. I'll give you a quick compliment. I think you're great in front of the camera, in front of the microphone. And I think that you did a great job of keeping the energy going. I thought it was great to see other entrepreneurs. There were a couple of entrepreneurs in front of the microphone where I could relate to their story of like how difficult it is to get a new concept and brand out there. Swimwear has been around forever. It's super competitive, but no, it was a win-win experience for us. Also, hearing the other stories of the other vendors as well, seeing some of the emerging swimwear brands in Miami, always a hot spot. It was great.
That's dope. All right, we're going back to the marketing part.
The marketing part, I think for us with this particular fabric with 100% polyamide is getting it in front of people so they can have the tactile experience and actually feel it or put it on. It's not something that you can totally capture in front of social media or even in film. I think it's for us, we're going to have to be in front of people at pickleball events, at half marathons, at tennis events, at paddleboarding events, at surf events, where people can actually feel the fabric. So we are going to have to market by boots on the ground and being in front of people.
What do you feel about influencer marketing? Although everything that you said was amazing and was correct, you want to be in front of people. You want to have an element where people can touch, feel, smell, get that aroma of what you guys are, what you guys have to offer. Do you believe that influencer marketing is something that you guys are looking into, want to dive heavily into? Like, what do you guys feel about that?
So that's one of the things about being an entrepreneur is you learn how much you don't know on a daily basis. We like to think that we're a finished product in tennis or basketball or as a person or as a partner, as a son. But entrepreneurship is very humbling and it reminds you daily what you don't know. If you have a growth mindset, you can receive that. But yeah, I think for our marketing, we would like to know more about influence marketing. I think that it's a great way to reach an audience that we maybe wouldn't think about or would even know about. I think that's the magic of influencer marketing, is that they're reaching places you can't even think of, right? We think that we're covering said markets with pickleball, tennis, running, paddleboarding, but maybe a good influencer can reach a market we didn't even know about.
Right. And not even an influencer, but somebody who has influence over their community.
Sure.
A lot of affluence, not just the big followers, but the dedicated following.
Yeah.
And I think even you guys are going to these events, if you guys could tap into, and I'm no expert, but if you guys can tap into the individuals within these sectors that have a good following,
have a niche following.
Yes, and then I think that can I think it will explode. Your sales, your business, the awareness behind it, because now it becomes more personal.
Yeah.
With the end user. It's like, yo, no, I'm wearing this shirt and I like this shirt because of X, Y, and Z. And if this person has a certain following, that are in sports, that are outside,
absolutely,
especially being in South Florida.
If you see somebody wearing
right
in tennis, when I saw Andre Agassi or Pete Sampras wearing a certain brand, obviously back in the day.
Hold on, time out. First of all, I gotta tell you, I love tennis. So when you say like Andre Agassi and Pete Sampras and all these guys, like, I really understand it, and I get so excited when people talk about tennis.
It's a whole nother language, I've been told. But it's just being an athlete. I think I like knowing a little bit about all sports, whether it's Kelly Slater in surfing or Stephen Curry, John McEnroe, who's ever current. I just watched the French Open. I'm a big fan of Carlos Alcaraz. So we have the Olympics coming up in Paris.
Right.
We would love to get an influencer wearing our shirt and impacting some of that, but we're open to it. And I think it's going to be something that we learn more about in the next couple of months.
100%. I think strategically free. So, hey, I want you to test this shirt out, and not only because we want you to sell it, but we want to know how you feel about it. But then also, if you get strategically the right, hey, we want to give you a care package. What are they gonna do? They're gonna post it, and you can do your if your team has do analytics on, you can do all these analytics on their following, how much engaged they have,
and you see it on Shopify or whoever you're using.
100%.
Whatever code is being dispersed, you can see how you can track your sales.
Yeah, 100%. So I think once you guys really get into that portion, like, bro, it'll be game over.
That's what we're hoping,
because the product is actually really good.
That's what we're hoping.
And once you have a good product, once you have a great product, and then you tie it with great marketing, game over. And it's really not about who you know. It's about who knows you and what they know you for. And that just comes every day telling your story, every day telling everybody about L Cubed and how it all came together. But let me ask you this question. In the entrepreneur space, and like what is it like in terms of, the financial part? Like, do you think that most people should like have a job? Do you feel like most people should be in entrepreneurship or at least try it to gain the freedom? Like, what is your opinion on that, since you are a business owner?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think if I relate it to my experience, I'm super lucky. Um, a lot of sales and being an entrepreneur is building relationships, right? Relationships sell, and then the product comes. But I was given a unique opportunity with two really close friends to move forward with launching a company. And I think that whether it's getting investors or being lucky enough to have somebody in your inner circle who believes in you, that's willing to assist you in getting off the ground. I don't think there's any one way fits all, and I don't think that there's any correct or incorrect way. If you have funding of your own, great, go forward. If you need to borrow from a family member or somebody in your friend circle, or somebody needs to back you, great. Or if you need to go the investor route where you have to present and get investors to back you, if you really are passionate about being an entrepreneur and being your own boss, I think that you'll find a way, right? Where there's a will, there's a way.
And I want
And not any one way is the correct way. Just get it done.
just get it done.
Get your product to market.
Like, just go.
Yeah. Not everybody's own bank account can get the show going, but you can either have somebody who believes in you, a relative, pitch to a bunch of investors, get on Shark Tank, get on the local Shark Tank, get on a poor man's version of Shark Tank. Like, get your idea going. If you're really passionate about being an entrepreneur and launching a concept and a product, you have to go.
And what made you guys come up with this idea to build a t-shirt brand and with your partners?
Lifestyle brand.
Sorry, let me correct myself. A lifestyle brand. I love it.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, I'm here for it. A lifestyle brand. And how did you guys get started? Did you guys get started with seed capital? Did you guys get your own money? Did you guys get a loan? Or
so we're lucky enough to I'm on a team with two investors that believe enough in me. Pulling it back to when I was a tennis coach, I had sold this fabric for another company before. And the feedback that I got from these two very important people was that when you're passionate, we believe in you. So what can we recreate? I didn't want to teach tennis full time anymore. And I didn't want to work in corporate America. I wanted to start my own brand. Well, I had sold this fabric and this shirt for another company. So we thought, what about creating our own company to sell a fabric that you were passionate about? If you do, Eric, if you do your best work when you're passionate, let's start with something you're passionate about. So I was passionate about selling this fabric. It sold itself when we got it in front of people. It was kind of pre-pandemic, so it was a different market. But the green light for us was, I do my best work when I'm passionate. I had believers in me. Now, what am I passionate about selling? Well, we had sold a product that I was passionate about selling 3 or 4 years ago. We just had to go back and find that fabric.
Right. Do you believe that people should do what they're passionate about, or do you think that people should do sometimes what they're not passionate about in order to end up doing what they're passionate about?
I don't think there's one size fits all with that. I had a mentor and a boss in Chicago in the tennis teaching world,
right,
who had worked 5 years in a row, had never taken a day off. And I literally asked him as a mentor, not just a boss, but a mentor. And I asked him, how do you just not take any days off? Like, that's a ton of work.
Right.
And he simply replied, if you're really passionate about what you're doing, it's not work. So for me, with tennis, I can say I taught for multiple decades. It was always surprising that I got paid at the end of the pay period because I loved what I did. And I think that knowing myself and listening to feedback from my first Ripple friends, family members, my mentors and coaches, is that I have a certain level, like most people do. And then when I'm passionate, it goes to a much higher level. So I think for me, my personality, the trick is tying tying in what I'm passionate about so that it doesn't feel like work. I've also heard success stories of people that had to grit it out, had to work, and became successful. They were mildly passionate, or they were passionate about making money, not necessarily the product. I think that it's not one size fits all. I think for me, knowing myself well at this part of my own journey, I can't sell when I'm not passionate and I don't believe 100%.
And do you think that comes with time and wisdom and being able to say I've been to these experiences?
I think maybe it's time back way back into like me being a psych major. I think it's being introspective and having the growth mindset and listening to feedback, and then also knowing yourself through many defeats that I am best in front of people delivering a product when I truly 100% believe in the product and I'm passionate. I can do it the other way, but I'm not the salesperson that could just pick up a lamp, a shirt, or a shoe and sell it. That's not me. Some people are gifted that way. Just like in tennis, I always had to work hard. I wasn't the tallest. I wasn't the fastest. And the same with launching a brand. My superpower is not being faster, taller, or any of that stuff. It's being real and leading with my passion about the product.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. You know, even when, you know, just through my journey, I agree with you because
you won't give that extra.
No, you won't.
And that is the part that
over the ledge. You won't be willing to go over the ledge.
You know, you have Stephen Curry, you have Michael Jordan, whoever was your favorite athlete. What pushes them to the forefront, the margins are so minute. So if you're not sped forward by passion, how are you ever going to get that last percentage out of your best?
100%. I was just in a Will Smith. Have you seen the Bad Boys movie yet?
I have not.
So you should go watch it. It's a good movie.
I'll get there. I'll get there.
So Will Smith, in one of his interviews with Carmelo Anthony, I think it was, on his podcast, he was saying that, you know, his son went from like a C student to a B student. And his son would always say,
huge jump, by the way.
Yeah. And his son would always say, I'm going to be an A student. And Will Smith would always be like, no, I don't think you're going to be an A student because you're trying to do the same things that you did to go from a C to a B student, then a B to an A student. And if you want to get to that extracurricular, that upper echelon, that top tier, when it comes to school, you have to be doing way more than what you did from going from C to B, from B to A. And Will Smith even talks about this on his own journey. You know, he says the reason why I am one of the best ever at what I do is because it's not that I'm willing to run longer than you on the treadmill if we're running on the treadmill. It's because I'm willing to die on the treadmill, running on the treadmill. And it's a difference, you know?
But there's what it takes
so it correlates.
And I can really relate what it takes to be a C student and get to a B student. It's a whole nother creature to go from a B to an A. And you know that from basketball. I know that in tennis. In tennis, a lot of people, and now the ratings are changing, but when in my era, a lot of adult players would stop at a 4.5 rating or a 5.0 rating.
Mm-hmm.
And to get to that next level takes extra. And that's where some people either aren't passionate, you find out they're not passionate, or they're not capable of giving what it takes to get from that B to an A.
In your business, in your company, what are some of those things that you're doing or that your counterparts and yourself are doing in order to get to that extra, get to that next tier?
So there's no off days. Number one, right? We're here on a Sunday.
On Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers.
Happy Father's Day, Dad. So there's no days off. We have a couple of company values, flexibility, passion, and the no jerk rule. So whether it's with our consumer or with a manufacturer, like we really only want to do business with kind people. So ways that we're differentiating ourselves in this competitive market, I think, is that we take no days off. I think that we show up every day. We're trying to bring in new products, new concepts. Nobody's really doing 100% polyamide in the athleisure lifestyle sector. So being bold enough to be different while staying kind and showing up every single day. And sometimes that's Father's Day.
Right. No, I get it. Even with like the networking events that we met at,
Yeah, there's no off day for you.
yeah. I host my own networking events, and people are always like, Amari, you should just do one a month. And I'm like, what if I can do 2 a month, or 3 a month, or 4 a month? And that's just kind of where we are and where I think we should be. Like, if you want to do more, you have to do more. You have to put yourself out there more. You have to get in front of more people.
That's where I think the passion fuels.
Right.
Like, it wasn't even when you mentioned getting together on Thursday or on a Sunday on Father's Day. It wasn't even a thought to say no, because I was so excited to get the message out there. It doesn't matter if it's Monday, Sunday, Wednesday.
Right.
When your passion feeds that's how you have no days off.
It's like nothing can stop you.
Yeah.
And it's not even about having no days off. It's just that you're just doing the thing that you always, it's like a lifestyle. So it will never be a day off, because it's a part of your everyday life. It's a part of the fabric, the fabric of your DNA. That
well played.
Yeah, so sorry. I used to write poems back in the day. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not kidding.
But to your point, I think, and you can relate to this in sports and being an athlete, a lot of people are like, well, so-and-so was lucky.
Right.
And I've always struggled with that concept of certain people are just lucky, because I think having no days off and being passionate puts you in a position when luck is there, you jump through and get it, right? Like, you create your own luck. I don't think that luck is inherent to any one person or any one product or material thing. I think that grit, showing up every day, not taking days off, and being fueled by passion creates luck. And when the luck is there, you're ready for it.
No, you're right. It's like, I think of it like this. Getting lucky creates a moment. But in order to stay lucky, that's because of the foundation that somebody's built.
There you go.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's like being a one-hit wonder. Oh, you can do this. You got successful one time. You created significance one time. You built a business one time. But how does somebody go from business to opportunity to healthy relationship to then another win, is because over time you built up a foundation to where when things just come into your environment, it's like everything you touch turns to gold.
Absolutely.
And that's what it's about also. And so I commend you for.
I always say it won't be for lack of effort.
That's real. And you talk about your values. What are your values? Flexibility,
passion, and the no jerk rule.
No jerk rule. You've been a great human being up to this point, in our interactions. So I mean, great attitude. I mean, easy to work with. Let's do this. I'm down. Let's cool. Flexibility. I mean, we were supposed to do this 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
But schedules, flights, family emergencies have come up, and we remain flexible because I feel like we can see the value in each other, right?
What about number 3?
Number 3, wait, no jerk rule.
No, we haven't covered that one.
Flexibility. No, I said no jerk. I said you've been a nice guy up to this point.
That's right. Okay.
But what's the other one though?
The passion.
The passion, and you can just see the oozing of the passion with, I'm sure, what I was doing when you came and saw me, and then when I saw what you were doing, and how you really like. Now I feel comfortable going to my friends and who have big audiences, who have huge followings, say, yo, you got to go check out this company. I think they're gonna be something big, and they now it at least puts everybody in the same ecosystem where it's like you got to go check them out.
It's a little intense on this side to have those 3 values kind of measured against me. So I'm hoping that we stand tall in that. And when people are interacting with us as an organization, a customer or a manufacturer, I hope that, and I will do my best to make sure people feel like we're not a jerk, we're passionate, and we will be flexible within reason.
No, 100%. And I don't want people to hear this and say, oh, well, they're just perfect. No, everybody's not perfect. Nobody's perfect.
No.
But you want to make sure the wins outweigh the losses. And when you do win, the wins are bigger than what the losses are. The losses are very minute.
And this from what you do in several different realms. It's building the relationships. Of course, you have to have a product you're passionate about. You have to have a product that's resonating. When I look at the reviews on our website, like we're getting the 5-star reviews, people are feeling the concept and feeling the fabric in the same way that we do. But past that, even more importantly, it's the relationships that develop along the way that build a product and that's sustainable. Like you can be a flash in the pan for 6 months or a year, but we want to be a lifestyle brand in 20 years from now. So to do that, you need to build the relationships first.
You know, it's crazy. Companies always evolve. And when I look at, I forget what video I was watching, but it was saying all these companies that are known for what they are now, they weren't even what they are now. They were like a shoe company or like a glasses wear company.
Yeah.
Or sunglasses. And then now they're like, you know, big mobile companies, airlines.
But that when we talk about resilience, you also have to talk about the ability to pivot.
Right.
And then when you look back at longstanding brands like Nike, Reebok, Adidas, even their logo emerges and changes, right? Like people don't get stuck in the mud in 1978 thinking, they evolve. And I think that's uber important in being an entrepreneur is sometimes you have to pivot away from something that you initially thought was super important, or you have to grow on an idea, and things evolve.
100%. So let me ask you this. How long have you guys been in business?
We started L Cube Lifestyle November 1st, 2023.
Oh, this is like very recent.
Yeah, we are infantile. We're babies in the market.
Go.
So identifying who you want to go with as a manufacturer, figuring out how to get an EIN number, how to get a domain name, how to launch your Shopify, what does e-commerce mean? All these things that seemed so impossible in the beginning are now things that we've learned to do, but there's no finish line. You have to show up to work tomorrow and Monday. You have to show up to work on the next holiday, and it's just going to take a lot of grit. But I will say it once again, it's not going to be for lack of effort if we don't make it.
100%. And I believe that you guys will make it. I think you guys are going to be a 5 or 10 year company. We look back on this interview or this conversation 5-10 years from now, you know, yes, these guys stood the test of time. And I think principles, you know, matter. You know, what are your goals? What are your company goals? Let's say for the rest of the year, for the next 5 years, for the next 10 years, or like, let's just say for the end of 2024, going into 2025.
Yeah, I mean, that's a wonderful question. I think to some points we've talked about earlier, establishing who is going to be on our team and who we're going to really focus on relationships growing from the beginning. We have the no jerk rule. So we want to work with companies and clients and manufacturers that we really believe in and get along with. Staying with the fact that we want to bring in new concepts, new fabrics. We're currently using 100% polyamide. That's not going to be for everything we sell. So being innovative, being kind of on that cutting edge, and then creating a lifestyle brand, we're going to have to expand, right? We're going to bring in hoodies, 1/4 zips, other apparel, and keeping that focus on trying to have something different. I can hear my one business partner in particular saying, that's a great pair of shorts, but why is it different? Like we always take it back to that. So I think as a growing company, our consumers and people that have expectations are going to expect us to always have something different. And I think honoring that and using that as passion to like, don't just settle for a pair of shorts. Like let's find a fabric. Let's have a pocket. Let's have a new concept that's going to be different in the market.
And do you guys have a money goal as well? Monetary or
money's always important. And when you have an accountant on your team, they hold you accountable with that.
You have an accountant on your team?
We do.
Oh, that's amazing.
But yeah, I think just any company that's able to turn a profit in the first year or two, that's a lot of times when people quit with a new concept or a new company. I think just being sustainable and being able to add on more salaried positions in year 2, right? Like you can't just be a one-person show.
Right.
So we're getting ready to add on some sales reps. We're getting ready to grow a little bit. I think our numbers goal is to be sustainable and profitable after year 1.
Are you guys profitable yet?
We are getting there.
Are we close?
Yeah, very close. Especially after Friday.
After Friday.
Yeah.
So how do you duplicate what happened on Friday? Can we just tell the people? Can I tell them?
Yeah. No. So we had an early success as far as sales. We've had a couple early successes. We're working on some monstrous success stories that I hope to tell you about. What I liked about our first initial sales successes, they were with companies and brands that we want to grow with and kind of have similar values. I think the name of the game for me is getting in front of people. I've got long arms, so I will reach a lot of people, and I get to have the fabric and read people's energy in person. I think that was the success of last week. I believe in the fabric. I believe in the product. And then getting in front of people and seeing who's real and who isn't, I think is the name of the game.
100%. And now with your fabric, so it's L Cube is the brand and the logo, and it's on here. What if another company wants to come in and they want to use your type of shirts? Can they stitch their logo on your shirt as well? Or is it just...
That's a great question. So we co-brand. You can have a shirt to your house within 24 to 48 hours through the website. But we also offer co-branding. You send your logo in a PDF, PNG, vector file. We have a digital mock-up team that'll show you what your logo looks like on our fantastic fabric. And then if you'd like to make a bulk order, we have that pricing on the website as well. I can show people that. But we have a couple different channels we're selling through. And those bulk orders for events are the name of the game for a startup company, because you can sell 5 shirts through the website, or I can sell 500 through a bulk order. That's what's going to keep the doors open.
So like if somebody has an event, let's say, Secure Your Future has an event, and
I hear good things about that company.
We're trying to grow for sure.
I can talk to the person who's ever in charge of buying for the event, and it just starts with having a logo, either that you can export in a vector file is best because it doesn't smudge, but we can make it work with a PNG or a JPEG or a PDF of your logo. Then we, in turn, with our digital mock-up team, we show you what your logo looks like on our shirts. A lot of times there's a lot of ping pong that goes back and forth. People want the logo expanded. They want it moved. They want it on the back. They want it higher. So that takes a little bit of time. If you get to the point where you like what the digital mock-up looks like, it takes about 45 to 60 days to get the product delivered from Brazil.
Whoa, Brazil. That's a whole nother conversation. So hold on. That threw me for a twist. Brazil. Because a lot of people manufacture from China. So what's the difference between being manufactured from China? Because I have a lot of friends that have clothing brands. And I'm actually, and believe it or not, I'm actually a part of one myself, which, we'll eventually talk about. But why Brazil over China?
So I sold this fabric before for another company, and it was very popular, and I listened to the feedback and I loved it myself until we created our own shirts. It was my go-to shirt for every athletic thing that I did. So with email, phone calls, WhatsApp, I went to 110 manufacturers around the world: Thailand, China, Turkey, Vietnam, Bangladesh, Pakistan, India. Polyamide happens to be something that the country of Brazil does really well, and they're kind of at the forefront with that fabric. So 110 manufacturers. We used different criteria. We narrowed it down to 4. All 4 of the manufacturers that we were looking at were from Brazil. We want it to be sustainable. We want a no jerk rule, flexible, passionate. So we were really interviewing manufacturers, and we narrowed it down from 110 to 4. The top 4 were from Brazil. We went with 2, and now we're going to narrow it down to 1.
When you make the decision to go with just one manufacturer, do you think that puts pressure on the company in order to not, to only be supplied by one manufacturer? Do you think that people should use 1 or 2 like you've been doing so far?
Yep.
And now you're narrowing it down to 1, probably because you built the relationship.
Absolutely.
But is it important to have multiple manufacturers? Like hey, this is my first person. If I have a big order, we're always going to go to them. But then I'm going to still feed the second person because, just in case something happens, we want to still have that relationship. Is that important, or is it just go with 1?
I think it's a fantastic question. I do have one of my two co-founders that's been on top of this since the beginning, which is kind of why we started with two different manufacturers. I do think it's also important to pivot if you do find that one manufacturer is better with getting product to the end destination in a timely manner, or the stitching, or the hem, or the seams,
The
or the screen
details.
printing, or even just your interactions are positive. I think it's also okay to pivot, also for quality control. Sometimes when you have different manufacturers, the quality of the product can be different.
Right.
And we want to deliver that fantastic product every time. We will, as we expand as a lifestyle brand, we're not going to just have one manufacturer. You have to have multiple. And you don't ever want to sever ties, but you can have your first choice, your second choice, and your third choice. And know if you are just reliant on one manufacturer, you have no backup plan. You need a backup plan, because sometimes one manufacturer can't fulfill an order of 500, or they need more lag time, or something happened on their end with receiving the fabric. So if I were to tell myself in month 1 in November, I would say have multiple manufacturers ready, but also it's okay to identify your fastest horse.
Right. Like your main player in a sense.
Your top performer.
100%. That's beautiful. I didn't even know.
But it's a good question.
I mean, you answered it. You said it. You said Brazil, and
We
I was like, hold
literally-
up. I know people go to China all the time for. I mean, my dad. Shout out to Father's Day. My stepdad, who I call my father, my dad. He owns a school and he has apparel, and a lot of his apparel comes from overseas and comes from China. Like when he's ordering, he has his manufacturers that he uses, but he has one in particular, and I know they're over there. I know a lot of people have one in China, and I didn't even know that. I didn't know Brazil was doing stuff like that, but I'm sure you can outsource anything
you can
from any country based off of.
But that goes back
how it's
before
made.
where I was telling you we also want to be different. So I think
when you say Brazil, that's different.
People hear that, and there's no statement against any other country, because we got samples from all over the world and they were fantastic. But Brazil is at the forefront of 100% polyamide or polyamide blends. We've enjoyed working with our manufacturers, and to be different, maybe we'll manufacture our t-shirts and our long sleeve shirts from Brazil, and we're okay with that.
That's amazing. So let me ask you this question. What do you think that for the entrepreneur, the business owner that's just starting or looking to start, or maybe even being that may be a vet, or what do you have based off of your experiences? What would you tell that person?
I think when it comes to the time to have a product, and let's just say an athleisure wear, whatever it is, what problem are you solving? What question are you having a solution for? So for example, I've been a tennis coach. I taught primarily in indoor courts in Chicago and in Copenhagen, Denmark, because I didn't want to teach outside in Florida.
Right.
I'm from here. I had a great time growing up as a junior tennis player, but the problem that we're trying to solve for with our lifestyle brand is, starting with the t-shirts, typically UV clothing is super heavy. It's not lightweight, it's not breathable, and it's not realistic for people to use on a daily basis. So we tried to come up with a super strong fabric that was also lightweight and answer the question for people that want protection from the elements. So we went to 110 manufacturers around the world to make sure we got the product that we wanted, because you can't just produce what everybody else is doing. If we were going to be another polyester shirt at TJ Maxx or wherever, our price point wouldn't fit.
Correct.
So to add the value to our shirts, we're trying to solve the problem of having an active lifestyle. I'm back in Florida. I want to paddleboard, bike, tennis, pickleball. We want to have a product that can keep up with my lifestyle.
Right. 100%.
It's that simple.
100%.
But you have to really answer your question, you have to solve for a problem when you're launching a new product. And if somebody's already doing it, what is it that you can do better? But you can't just do what everybody else is doing.
Right. And then where can people find the brand at?
So you can find us at our website. We're at lcubelifestyle.com.
L-Cube, like cube spelled
CUBED. It's not L3. L3 is part of our logo, but the brand, when you read it out or you go to our website, is the letter L cubed, CUBED, lifestyle.com.
There you go. And to close it out, first of all, I got to say thank you for this amazing conversation. I want to commend you for your consistency, your passion, being a great person, your flexibility, all the values really that you preach. And
We show up.
exactly. And I like to end it like this. When you hear the word or the phrase "secure your future," what does that mean to you?
Well, I think it actually builds into one of our 3 pillars that's on your wrist, longevity. And I think when you're securing your future, it's not just, it's not just going through the motions or not knowing where, like in basketball, you have to know where the hoop is to get the ball through the basket. Right. And I think longevity and being sustainable, you have to have a plan. You just don't end up there. So securing your future, I think if I bring it back to us as a brand, securing our future starts with standing tall in the principles and the values of the company on a daily basis. That's going to push us forward. What about for you? Let's turn it around on you, Mr. Mint Shirt.
For me?
Yeah.
All right.
What does securing your future mean to you?
Securing your future to me means, so I believe in the 7 pillars. I believe that the 7 is a number of completion. So when I look at securing my future, I'm always trying to get better in these particular areas: mentally, physically, emotionally, socially, relationally, financially, and most important, spiritually, with a heavy emphasis on spiritual. And I believe, the spiritual side will breed everything else. But if you can get better, not comparing yourself to anybody else, but in those 7 areas against yourself every single day, over time, you'll have built enough of a foundation of a compound effect to where everything kind of will just be better. And once you become, we're all individuals, but we're all a part of a higher purpose. I also believe that in order for somebody to have a vision, we have to be a part of somebody else's vision in order for our vision to come true. For example, we're having this, my vision is to have one of the most, not even the best, one of the most important, podcasts or spaces where people can create, impactful places where people can come and share their stories. Because I believe in stories, because I have one. And for me to do that, I have to be a part of your vision. What is your vision? Your vision is to build your brand. So how do I make my vision come true? I allow you to come and you tell your story on a platform. And I build the platform so big that other people can come in and they can build their vision on the foundation of what we've built.
But it sounds like you have your 7 pillars, but I think the underlying foundation, what I hear, in my opinion, is having and keeping that growth mindset and realizing you're never going to be a finished product.
100%.
There's no finish line. There's no place in life you get to and you're like, okay, now I'm happy. You literally have to keep that growth mindset, whatever part of the runway of your longevity runway you're on. Staying open to new ideas, I think, is very important.
No, 100%. And I'm going to use 2 examples. And this is the last thing before we get out of here. 2 examples. And I look at the example of Jesus Christ, and I look at the example of Walt Disney, right? And the infrastructures that they built. And no matter what you believe in, this is just, you believe in what you believe in. But when you talk about Jesus, he always said he's going to, where he was building his church, he said, I'm going to build my church in this place where my church will never, no matter what happens, what's going on, my church will never cease. What does that mean? That just means that he knew the sacrifice and that the full fruition of what he was trying to build will outlast him, after his days.
Legacy.
Yeah, so that's where you build the principles. That's where you build the values. That's where you build the foundation to stand on. Same thing with Walt Disney. Walt Disney had a vision because he already built 160-acre Disneyland in California. He saw somebody else build New York and not even build they built an economy. And so once he saw that, he had a vision, and truly, believe it or not, he bought 27,000 acres of swampland in Orlando, which I just came back from, but he died before even one thing was built. But because he understood his vision, and he had somebody else with him, right? Jesus had his disciples. Walt Disney had his brother. His brother was about to retire. His brother was like, I can't retire because the only thing my brother wanted to to do was to see his vision came true. And because he shared his vision with similar people and they were all a part of what was going to happen, although he didn't see the full fruition of, what was built in terms of Walt Disney, he understood that his sacrifice and doing the things now will outlast him. I think that's where we have to get to. We have to get to a point where you're talking about growth mindset, that we know the things that we're doing today, we may not see the full fruition of them, but as long as we keep the foundation right, we'll be good. So, but I want to say thank you so much again. I appreciate you, my guy, Eric. And I can't wait to see the future. And I think the best is yet to come. Appreciate you.
Thank you for being you.
Let's go.